Welcome back to my channel for this week's Human Design Transit Report. And today is Monday, October 23rd. And oh my, what a week or a few weeks that we've had. Such a potent time here on planet Earth. There is so much turmoil. And now we have another war. And there's a lot going on. How are you? How are you? How are you feeling? How are you navigating the challenges and the complexity and the turmoil of our lives today? It's a lot. So if you're feeling a lot, I totally get it. I just want to say I get it, and you're not alone. And we're all in this together. And to me, that's the thing that we're really evolving towards, is the recognition that we really are all in this together. And that includes me and you and our families and our communities and the living world and all the people on our planet and all of the beings. And this is what really creation and the universe is calling us towards, is the recognition that we are interconnected. We are all expressions of one creative intelligence of the universe in many different forms. And then that over the course of our time as a humanity, especially the last 5,000 to 10,000 years, we've gone into a pretty tumultuous time. So we're going to talk about that today in relation to the transit that's going to start on Thursday. And I wanted to just begin with just from my heart to yours, just the sense of, it's really intense. And if you're feeling the intensity, it's not just you. So let's go ahead and dive in. So in the transit that we're in right now, and if you haven't watched my video about that, you can go ahead and watch it right here, because I went into this extensively in last week's transit report. But in last week's transit report, we had both a gate in the tribal circuit and a gate in the knowing circuit that was lit up. And now we also have a gate in the tribal circuit and a gate in the knowing circuit lit up. So there's a certain kind of parallel, although the specifics of the energy are really quite different. So let's go ahead and dive into the sun, which is lighting up the gate 28. The gate 28 is in the knowing circuit, so it's individual circuitry, and it is part of the leading edge of the evolutionary impulse running through the chart. Okay, this is where really mutative, very innovative, very different kinds of ways of thinking come to us, is through that knowing circuit. So the 28 in traditional human design is known as the gate of struggle. And in quantum human design, it's known as challenge and even adventure. So the 28 is a very complex energy. I have it defined in my chart. I actually have the whole channel defined in my chart. And I've really delved into it a lot, because it helped me to understand certain aspects of my being that I otherwise was really confused about. So if you have confusions about things that are going on in your life, I really encourage you to dig into your human design more, because it might give you some insight that you wouldn't get from any other place. That's one of the reasons I just love human design, and I love doing readings, and I love supporting you. I love doing these videos, because it can help us to understand things in such a different way. So the thing about the 28 struggle, right? Victim consciousness, really. It's like when you're in the disempowered state of the 28, it's victim consciousness. You feel like the world is coming at you, like you are just doing your very best to kind of keep things at bay, and you're just trying to manage everything that's coming at you, right? So you're focused on the outside and what's coming at you, and you're doing your best to navigate that situation. It's a pretty uncomfortable and disempowered state to have. Then the shadow state is when you use that kind of energy to like kind of be like, oh God, I'm struggling. Aren't you struggling? We should all be struggling. It's all hard for all of us, right? And you try to enroll people and how difficult everything is and how challenging everything is and how, oh gosh, can't we just bond on being victims with each other? Right. But there's this kind of energy coming at you like, it's like drawing you into victimhood. You don't want to do that, right? You don't want to do that. And people do this unconsciously. They're not doing it on purpose. They're doing it unconsciously because they want to feel like they're in it together. But the way they're doing that is they're bonding on their wound, right? They're bonding on the way that they feel disempowered. And that can be okay as a first step if you're coming out of being empowered at all. That can be a first step, but you don't want to stay there, right? It's just the beginning of your journey. So then the 28 in its awakened or really empowered state is one in quantum human design is called challenge, right? I like to take it farther than the way it's been taken in quantum human design. And I'll tell you why. So challenge is... It's part of life. Like, we're not going to avoid challenge. Challenge is going to happen. It's going to come to all of us, and we get to decide how we're going to respond to challenge. Now, from a more evolved personality and a more evolved consciousness, we recognize that challenge is the way that we grow, because we go, boy, okay, that happened. What now? Right? And it requires us, and this is what's great about it being in the knowing circuit, is it requires us to kind of dig deeper and to be like, what else could happen? What could come out of this? Not the spiritual bypass of like, oh, it's all good. I know it's hard, but we're going to get lessons in the end. Oh, don't you worry. It's all fine. Like, no, not that. I'm not talking about that. Okay. I live in Northern California. I live around people who talk that way. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about going, life can be challenging, but it's inviting us when it's challenging to both connect into super consciousness, right? So the knowing circuit starts right here in that gate 61. And right now the 24 is lit up. So we've got the knowing circuit happening in the chart right now. But it asks us, one aspect of it is to tap into that creative intelligence of the universe and say, you know what? I feel really challenged right now. I could use some help. I'm wondering where that help's going to come from. I'm wondering how I'm going to deal with this challenge. I'm wondering what else could be possible. I'm wondering what kind of resources I need. I'm wondering how this is all going to unfold. I wonder, what do I need to do inside myself so that I feel okay with this and I can really be on top of it and I can show up the way that I really want to show up in the world, right? So those are what we call generative questions, which originally were designed by Karen Curry Parker for generators. But you know what? They work for everybody. Maybe manifestors, not so much, but even manifestors. I used to be in relationship with a manifestor, and he used to tell me, I'm trying to read the tea leaves about how things are going, right? Well, trying to read the tea leaves is similar to connecting to the source, right? And being like, I need some help. Give me some guidance. So I think all types can benefit from that kind of reaching out to source energy, reaching out to that creative intelligence and saying, you know what, things are really hard right now. Can you help? Bring me some new insights. Bring me a download. Bring me a suggestion about what I could do differently. Bring me some people I can collaborate with, right? Bring me a new awareness about how I could participate in the world, right? There's lots of ways that super consciousness can support us, but we have to ask, right? Spiritual etiquette requires that we ask. It's not going to just step in and solve our issues. We have to ask for help. So when we feel challenged, recognizing that we're not alone and that we actually have this creative intelligence that's here that wants to support us. And I think this is one of the key things to step out of that victim consciousness, because victims feel really alone. They feel beleaguered. They feel put upon. They feel like things are coming at them, and they don't feel like they're resourced. They don't feel like Spirit has their back, right? But when you can evolve through that process and you get to challenge, you can be like, okay, this is challenging. This is an opportunity for me to go somewhere I haven't been before, to respond differently than I have before, for me to engage with life differently than I have before, for me to create a new understanding of who I am and how I can show up. It's a very potent and fertile situation. Joe Dispenza has a statement similar to this. It's in my book, Feminine Sovereignty, which I'll tell you about in a minute, which is, I'm not going to quote it exactly, but it's something like, life continually gives us opportunities for growth disguised as impossible situations, right? So that's what challenge is. So with the sun lighting up the gate 28, we want to be able to kind of grab a hold of the things that are happening in our lives and that are coming at us. And that includes war. That includes political chaos. That includes economic unrest, right? It includes a lot of things. Okay. So how do we respond? How do we engage with life when we see those things happening? Because what we do have the ability to have command with is how we respond, right? And it's not just for generators. Everybody gets to look at how they respond, regardless of their type. We can't control the things going on outside of us, but what we can do is command how we respond. And the 28 is the best teacher in the chart for that, as far as I'm concerned, because it's so clear about what our choices are. Right? And I would even say we could go beyond challenge to adventure. Because if you are riding the leading edge of consciousness, which is what the knowing circuit is about and individual circuitry is about, and the 28, 38 is definitely about, right? If you're on that leading edge of consciousness, then if you can kind of put on your explorer hat, right? You know, you can kind of be like, let me get my headlamp on and have my backpack with my water. And I'm going to be like, okay, where's the adventure in this challenge? Right? Think about a time maybe if you've ever been hiking, and when you're first hiking, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. I did this with a friend recently. We climbed, I think it was like 1,800 feet in a mile. I mean, it was really short, and we went up, and it was in Colorado, and there was a lot of, we were at elevation, and I was like, because I live at sea level, it was hard, right? And at first I was like, oh my gosh, this is really challenging, and I could kind of spiral into that. And then I was like, all right, adventure. How am I going to embrace this as adventure? And it changed my whole way of responding to the difficulty that I was experiencing at that time. And in our world today, with some really big things going on, being able to cultivate the sensibility where you don't spiral downward into that negative victimhood, right? And you don't just feel like, oh my God, I'm just doing everything I can to face challenges in my life, right? But you're actually able to be like, you know what? I was built for this. And I was born during a time of challenge here on planet Earth. And so if I was born during this time, I must have what I need to be able to participate and to be able to contribute. That is a very empowering way to live. And then the sun in the 28 is resting on the earth in the 27. So the 27 is on the sacral center, and it is in the tribal circuit, and it's in the defense circuit in traditional human design, or the sustainability circuit in quantum human design. So it's a very different energy than the 28. The 28 is like, it's like that individual energy of being able to, you know, go forth and meet challenge and turn it into something amazing, right? Whereas the 27 is nurturing. It is responsibility in traditional human design and accountability in quantum human design. Now let's unpack that a little bit. So it's colloquially known as the mother or grandmother gate because it is this really beautiful nurturing energy. And it's called responsibility because it is part of the channel where we have responsibility for bringing up the youngers. We're here to nurture them. We're here to take care of them. We're here to make sure that they have what they need. And then later on in life, we're here to do that with the elders, because that happens at either end of life, right? Is we need people to take care of us. We need to know that somebody is going to be responsible for supporting us with things that we either haven't learned how to do yet, because that's what the youngers, or we can no longer do with the elders, right? So it's in that place. And it's called accountability in quantum human design because there can be codependence here. There definitely can be codependence. And in the disempowered expression of that codependence is where, for you moms out there, it happens with dads, but not as much, where we are just giving to our children, and we're trying to, or to the elders, actually. And we're effacing ourselves, we're suppressing what we need, we're saying what we need isn't important, and we're doing everything for them. And, as a mom, I've spent a lot of time nurturing my kid. I still nurture my kid because they're still coming out of a long time of chronic illness and they're doing way better. But I spend a lot of time, caregiving for my kid, just making sure that they have what they need. But I'm careful not to do it in a way where I make them feel like they owe me, right? Which is part of the codependent, right? Or subordinating myself to the degree where I don't have what I need, right? And I talk to women pretty regularly who are kind of waking up to that and being like, wow, I don't even know what I wanted. I just was so focused on the family, so focused on taking care of other people. This, oddly enough, can happen in work situations too, where women get hired into positions where they are taking care sometimes of other women, but a lot of times of men, where they have that same kind of caretaking thing and to their own detriment. So you want to watch out for yourself. So that's where accountability comes in. It's like, am I accountable to myself? Am I accountable to taking care of myself? It's that same, put on your oxygen mask before you give it to your kid or your elder, right? You need to have that so that it's sustainable, which is why it's part of the sustainability circuit. It needs to be sustainable. So in our family relationships and our tribal relationships, it's really important during this time that we are unraveling the millennia of codependence that we've been programmed into, so that we can become sovereign of our own being. And this is why my book is about feminine sovereignty. So we need to become sovereign of our own being, so that we are making sure that we are taking care of ourselves, that we have what we need, that we're accountable to our own well-being. And at the same time, we're also looking for what other people need, and we're paying attention and we're providing that. Like, I have people in my community who have had injuries or who've had illness, and they need help. They need our community to show up for them, to help provide, drive them places, or provide meals for them, or just to, spend time with them, make sure that they get to their doctor's appointments, or, get their medications, whatever it is. And when we used to live in a village, people would know all of that, and the word would go around, and people like that would be taken care of. But we don't live in villages like that anymore, right? We have to create them. So while this Earth is lighting up that 27, one of the things I would suggest is for you to just kind of look around and be like, are there people in my community who need support? Is there a way that I can provide that? Not to my own detriment, but because I have, whether it's my own personal energy, or it's my heart, or, I love to cook, so I cook for people, whatever it is that you might be able to do. Because that's a great use of that 27. And you also want to watch out if there is any codependence that gets activated during this time, because you can really shift that right now if that codependence comes up. And as you create that real sustainability, that's going to help you be able to step into that adventure of the 28, rather than falling into that victim consciousness. Now, you can probably see how somebody who's really in their victim and somebody who's in codependence with their 27, right? That's not necessarily a great combination, at all. Because that victim can fall into that codependence and try to suck energy from people who are showing up as nurturers. So you want to watch out for that too, because not a great combination. Next Thursday, November 2nd, is the big day. My book, Feminine Sovereignty, 8 Pillars for Regenerating Ourselves and Our World, which includes content that is related to what I just shared today, is coming out. And you'll be able to get it for free, the Kindle version, on November 2nd. And you can pre-order the paperback right now if you want to, or you can wait and order it on November 2nd. It's 30% off now, and it will be also on November 2nd. And I'm super excited to bring this out to you. I mean, it's been coming for a while. You may have noticed that I have a different painting here. If you've been following me for a while, this is the painting that I did for the cover of the book. And I hope that you will come and celebrate with me on November 2nd. I have an entire day planned of all kinds of different events. It's all going to be streamed live on YouTube. So you can check it out there, and you can look down in the description. And also, if you're on my email list, I'll be sending this out via email as well. So I'm going to be interviewed by Kia Miller on her Instagram. I'm going to do a conversation with Robin Wynn about human design. I'm going to have a panel of readers who are going to share about their experience of reading the book. I'm going to be offering an energy boost practice based in Kundalini Yoga. I'm going to be reading passages from the book. It's just all kinds of things that are going to be going on that day. And because it's all live streamed on YouTube, it'll also be available for you to watch later. If you can't make it that day, that's totally fine. And if you are not going to be available to buy the book on November 2nd, I would highly encourage you to go and get it in the pre-sale, which is happening now. You can get it right now through November 2nd. And when you do, you're going to get bonused into a 3-session masterclass called Taking Command of Your Life with Feminine Sovereignty. You're also going to gain access to a giveaway from our partners that has a lot of beautiful gifts that we're just giving away. It gives you access to some of our partners' energies, and you know, it's just a beautiful bonus for you. So it's a win-win-win. So you can check out more in the description, and if you have not already joined up my email list, I would encourage you to do that. You can go and get your ebook, the Getting Started with Human Design. You can just go to sovereigntybydesign.com/ebook. And then you'll be on my email list, and you'll be finding out about this. And because there's just, you know, we're at the cusp of a big transition for me in my work. I've been working with human design for almost 7 years now, and have been teaching on YouTube for almost 3 years, 2 videos a week for 3 years, almost 3 years. And so I put out a lot of content, a lot of teaching, and I'm really excited to be bringing out the feminine sovereignty piece. Human design is embedded in feminine sovereignty along with Kundalini Yoga. These are 2 primary wisdom traditions that inform feminine sovereignty, but it's also much, much bigger than either of those. So if you are someone who has been asking yourself the question, you know, what can I do about the world falling apart? Because it kind of is in certain ways, and it's kind of great in certain ways, and also scary and challenging in other ways, which is why we need to get that 28 in its highest possible expression so that we can ride the waves of change that are coming our way. So I hope you'll join me on November 2nd, and that you'll get my book, and there'll be other opportunities to work together after that. All right, many blessings, much love. Bye for now.